What's up, boys and girls? Are you asking yourself, where in the world are all of the homes for sale? Well, guess what? In this video, I'm going to share with you my opinion on where we will see new housing inventory come into play in 2021 here in Pennsylvania. But before we do, just a little bit of house cleaning. I'm Chris Nelson with Genstone Realty, and this channel is all about real estate advice, tips, and tech. So if any of that excites you, you're in the right place. But do me a favor, drop me a comment, hit that thumbs up, consider subscribing, and mash that bell so that you're notified of my future content. Well, let's face it, 2020 and 2021 have been a very heavy seller's market. And the biggest reason for that is because there aren't any homes for sale. When it comes to real estate, there's something that we look at which is actually considered the supply. How long will it take for all of the homes to sell if new homes aren't introduced to the market? And to give you an idea of how the supply is actually calculated, it's relatively simple. It's taking the actual amount of homes that are available and then dividing that by the total number of sales over a given period. So if you're going to take a look at how much inventory there is in, let's say, a given county, you can take a look at how many homes are currently on the market and how many homes have sold over the last year. And if you divide those numbers, you will get a percentage or a number that lets you know exactly how many months of supply we have. Now, right now in Pennsylvania or across the country, I can tell you that housing supply is extremely low. In an average market, you look to see somewhere around 5 to 6 months of housing inventory. In a seller's market, which we're currently seeing, it would be less. Right now in our area, we're actually seeing less than 2 months worth of housing supply, and that is extremely low. Some areas of the country are even closer to 1 month. Now in a buyer's market, it would be the opposite. You'd have more inventory, or the number would be above 5 or 6 months, and that would actually indicate that we're in a buyer's market. So the golden question for most buyers is, when will we see more inventory, or will we see more inventory? And although none of us has a crystal ball, we can actually look at different things or take a look at the market overall to kind of forecast whether or not we will see new inventory. So in my opinion, we will see some new inventory hit the market in Pennsylvania, and I think that we're going to see them because of 4 main reasons. The first reason is, well, the typical spring market is right upon. For whatever reason, most people think that the spring market is the best time to put their home up for sale, and even though we are approaching what appears to be the tail end of a pandemic, if we look at what happened last year, I do believe we're going to see the same thing this year, which is sellers are going to put their house on the market because it is springtime. It's just something that has been the norm for years. So those sellers who are waiting for their kids to either finish the school year, maybe they're remote, maybe they're not, but kids are in school, and a lot of times people don't want to move until that school year is over. So in my opinion, you will see some homes come onto the market just because of the time of the year that it is. The other factor in which I think will bring more inventory to the housing market is the fact that forbearances are actually coming to an end, and those homeowners, if they can't maintain those payments, although they may have equity, are probably going to consider to sell the property now before they go underwater. Now, if you're not familiar with what a forbearance is an agreement between the borrower and the servicer where payments are usually put on hold for a certain duration, and then at the end of that forbearance, the borrower has a couple different options to bring that loan current. But now that we're starting to see the forbearance moratoriums end, sellers are going to have to make the decision as to whether or not they're going to stay in those homes or not. So forbearances and the fact that they're coming to an end is a good thing when it comes to housing inventory. The next area where I think we're going to see more houses come to the market is those that are in the foreclosure pipeline. Now, I want to be very clear on this, and I'm not referring to people's homes being foreclosed on because of a hardship or because of the pandemic. I'm referring to specifically the homes that were foreclosed on and because of the pandemic are still in that odd pipeline. A lot of markets, especially here in Pennsylvania, really put the brakes on evictions, and a lot of courts actually shut down. And because foreclosures are a legal matter and a lot of times result in a borrower or a defaulted borrower having to be evicted from that home, well, a lot of those properties are just kind of stuck in limbo right now. So again, I do think we are going to see more foreclosure activity overall, including filings. But for the sake of the 2021 housing market, I think that we will see some of the pipeline of homes that were in foreclosure or foreclosed on prior to the pandemic come onto the market simply because courts are opening back up and the things that were put in place to keep people in their homes, unfortunately, are coming to an end, which will result in more homes coming to the market. And the last area, which is probably one of the most unfortunate areas, is the fact that this pandemic has really impacted people's lives. Not only has it impacted people's lives, but we have seen a large number of people actually pass away. And as unfortunate as it may be, those homes are going to either go into some type of an estate or may make their way to the market sooner than later. The other thing to keep in mind is that the other thing to consider is that a lot of people's health was impacted by this pandemic. I've heard stories about people not being able to breathe as well as they could before, or being as mobile as they were prior to becoming ill. And with those changes often comes lifestyle changes. A lot of homeowners who may have had a home that offered several floors may be considering selling those homes, finding something smaller and maybe something on one floor. So the fact that people's lives have been impacted, although extremely saddening, well, is another reason that we're going to see more houses come onto the market in months to come. So there are my 4 reasons or 4 areas where I think that we're going to see more housing inventory here in Pennsylvania for the tail end of 2021. But do me a favor, let me know what areas you think might bring houses to the market, or if you disagree with any of the 4 reasons where I think we'll see more houses come into the market, well, let me know that as well. As usual, hopefully you found some value in this video, but either way, do me a favor, check in next week for the very next Just the Tip Tuesday with Chris. Until then, take care.